My brother-in-law and I became close after my sister passed away suddenly in 2020 at 30. My husband and I took him in and cared for him as we all grieved together. He has been dating Jen for 6 months now and they live together. I'm happy that brother-in-law seems to be happy and loves her. I want nothing but the best for him, and I truly believe he deserves to find someone to love again. The other night, we were all having dinner together, and a song came on that my sister used to love. I commented on it and said exactly that, which brother-in-law agreed with. Well, Jen said that she was sick of me always bringing brother-in-law's ex up, and that I should put myself in her shoes. She asked how I would feel if my husband's ex was always brought into conversation. She went on to state that it made her feel terrible, and she allowed my brother-in-law to visit my sister's grave with me on my sister's birthday, and that we should be thankful. But she was sick of hearing about his ex, and if we could please refrain from talking about her when she's around, that would be great. It just rubbed me the wrong way, and I snapped and called her an insecure witch who was jealous of a dead woman. She yelled back that we need to leave my sister in the past and move on now, because she was sick of her being mentioned, and my brother-in-law was with her now. She said I should put myself in her shoes and understand where she is coming from. I told her she had no right to say that as her sister isn't dead, mine is. I also told her that my sister isn't an ex. She's his deceased wife. My brother-in-law told me to leave because she started crying. My husband and I left. I haven't answered any of my brother-in-law's phone calls because he is now always sending texts saying that I need to understand where she's coming from, and that if I want him in my life, I need to apologize, move on, and stop mentioning my sister around them. My husband agrees with me that I wasn't in the wrong. However, when I told my mother-in-law, she said that I really should put myself in her shoes and understand that we can't always bring my sister up in conversation if my brother-in-law wants his relationship to work. I am still upset, and am just wondering if I am the a-hole. I do admit I frequently mention my sister, but it's not malicious. I just miss her. I also don't want to lose my brother-in-law, as him, my husband, and I have become very close. Not the a-hole. She allowed him to go to the grave? Oh my God. That's all I need to hear to know how toxic this woman will be. It takes a special woman to date someone who has lost a spouse, and this woman isn't it. Man, what a terrible situation. You won't win this because your brother-in-law is on the side of his girlfriend. I think it may be time to step back a little and give them some space. You're not the a-hole for your reaction because she was completely in the wrong to say you need to move on because she's sick of hearing about it. That's just so ridiculously coarse and cruel, and I can't personally imagine ever telling someone to get over the death of their former spouse or sibling. It's just reprehensible. All of that being said, let your brother-in-law be the one to decide how to handle this, and let him know that you're there for him, but won't tolerate disrespect to your deceased sister from his new girlfriend. Not the a-hole, but really leaning more towards no a-hole. You thinking of your sister, especially when hanging out with your brother-in-law, is perfectly understandable. That being said, I can also understand the girlfriend's frustration with what I'm sure is an extremely complicated situation for a new partner of a widow to navigate. I won't even pretend to know what that's like, which is why I'm giving her a bit of the benefit of the doubt too. Her response was not appropriate, but that doesn't mean it wasn't understandable. And I would say the same for your response. When emotions start flying, which obviously they will in this situation, not everything said is articulated in the nicest ways. So, were you wrong? No. But is being right worth more to you than patching things up with your brother-in-law? It just doesn't sound like his girlfriend is a bad person, or hates you or your sister or anything. She's probably just fighting her own battles of insecurity, and if she can ever live up to her, etc., etc. I, 50 male, have 2 sons, Daniel, 22, and Jackson, 20. We have our fair share of problems, but I love both of them with all my heart, no matter what. Even as a child, Daniel always had a superiority complex. He always felt the need to excel at everything except for sports due to his asthma. He started law school this year, and I'm very proud of him. Jackson, on the other hand, is just a natural. There's no other way to put it. He doesn't need to put much effort into anything, yet he still comes out on top. After graduating from high school, he started working for me at my business, which is flourishing thanks in large part to Jack. A year ago, Jackson met his now fiancée, and we're preparing for the wedding this summer. Everyone in our family is very happy for them, except for Daniel. Daniel and Jack get along rather well. There's no feud between them, but I could always tell that Daniel had always been jealous of Jack. So I went on a business trip to New England last weekend, and of course, I met up with Daniel while I was there. He was quite cold to me the whole time, not like he usually is. After a while, I asked him what was wrong, and he told me that he hasn't taken it lightly that my wife and I are going to pay for Jack's wedding, and that we were going to help them out with buying their house as well. I was taken aback. I told him that his mother and I will do the same thing for him as well when it's his time to get married. Daniel told me that it is disgusting that we're paying for the wedding, but not for his tuition. I told him that it was his decision to go to an Ivy League school and an even more expensive law school, not ours. He accused me of favoring Jack, but I was having none of it. I told Daniel that he should get past that Jack is naturally more apt to life than he is, and frankly, he should be thinking about settling down as he keeps jumping from relationship to relationship. Daniel had a lot of girlfriends, but none of them lasted longer than half a year. He said that I've just admitted to preferring his brother. I couldn't take it anymore. Told my son to calm down, think about how silly he is behaving, and I'll pay for his ticket if he wants to come down south for dinner on the weekend, and left. It was hard, but he needs to start accepting reality. He's becoming rather self-centered. I don't want to lose him, but I feel like he keeps pushing us away from him. It's not healthy. I told my sister about it, Daniel's godmother, and she thinks I'm an a-hole for talking to Daniel like that. Honestly, the only thing that might have made me the a-hole is that I told him Jack is simply a natural, which he might have taken the wrong way, but he needed to hear that. So, am I the a-hole? How is Jackson simply better at life? He's working for Daddy. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong working for a parent, especially since Jackson seems very competent, but don't disguise nepotism as being better at life. You're the a-hole. Daniel got into an Ivy League college, so he's hardly a failure. Jackson gets handed a career and has his wedding and part of his home paid for, and you don't contribute towards Daniel's tuition? Are you trolling us? Getting into an Ivy League law school is more of an accomplishment than getting a job at Daddy's business. It sounds like Jackson is just one of those people who gets by on charm alone, and Daniel is intelligent and works for what he wants, rather than expecting it to be handed to him. You absolutely are favoring Jackson over Daniel, and I'm sure it's not just an isolated incident. You're the a-hole. Wait, you're asking if you're an a-hole for making one child pay their own way through an Ivy League college and law school, while the other doesn't go to college, and you pay for their wedding and down payment because you think they're just a natural? Is this a joke? Because, yeah, you're the a-hole. My fiancée Alana and I are getting married this spring, and with any big wedding, I feel like there's bound to be some family drama. My mom never really liked Alana, and the wedding has heightened that tension. My dad recently married his affair partner, and the woman he left my mom for. I'll call her Gabrielle. Obviously, my siblings and I don't like Gabrielle very much, but we do understand she is a package deal with my father, so she is begrudgingly invited to the wedding. Alana does not like Gabrielle and thinks she is attention-seeking and spoiled. We recently had dinner with my mom and sister, and Alana was talking about how she is worried about what Gabrielle would wear to the wedding. My mom asked why she cared, and Alana explained it is disrespectful to try and upstage the bride, and Gabrielle seems like the type who would do that. She then made, honestly, a not nice comment about how Gabrielle isn't even as hot as everyone thinks she is, and my dad must just like the S because she is pretty, but not midlife crisis losing your mind pretty. My mom looked right at Alana and said, "Oh, I get it. You want to punish her for being prettier than you." I was in shock, and Alana's face dropped. I asked her why she would even defend Gabrielle, and she said she doesn't like jealous, insecure women. My mom's boyfriend chimed in and said Alana also isn't midlife crisis pretty, so why is she even talking? Alana was clearly humiliated and looked like she was going to tear up. She has always been very insecure about her looks. I yelled at my mom and demanded she apologize. I said she was acting like one of those jealous, pathetic mother-in-laws, and I wasn't going to let her tear Alana down. My mom said no, and Alana started it, and set the precedent that it was all right to critique other women's appearance. She said Alana is just insecure because Gabrielle or someone else could upstage her, and she doesn't have to coddle an insecure little girl just because she is going to be her daughter-in-law. We left the restaurant, and I told my mom that if she wants to come, she needs to apologize, as does her boyfriend. And it needs to be sincere, as it is beyond ducked up she would treat Alana like that just for blowing off steam. My mom is refusing, and now the family is attacking me and saying Alana started it, and I'm just trying to humiliate my mom. But I am serious about her invitation is rescinded unless she apologizes. Everyone sucks here. Alana does sound like she was trying to belittle Gabrielle, and your mom called her out on her BS. It sounds like Alana was trying to use bashing Gabrielle as a way to bond with your mom in some way, and it backfired. Did your mom and her boyfriend need to drag Alana's looks into it? Absolutely not. And they do owe her an apology for that. But they were correct in that Alana was being petty. I think Gabrielle is taking up way too much space in Alana's head, and she needs to figure out why she's letting her live there rent-free. Your fiancé is insecure. You do not get to throw insults at other women. And as far as upstaging the bride, please, she is the bride. No matter what someone else wears, she is still the bride. How insecure does she have to be? To me, it sounds like she needs to treat others like crap just to feel better about herself. Your mom was the one cheated on, but even she thinks your partner is out of line. That should tell you something. You're the a-hole. Everyone sucks here. Your mom was absolutely wrong to say that about your fiancé, But she is also kind of right when she says Alana started it and set the precedent that it was all right to critique other women's appearance. Why are you all sitting at a table absolutely savagely putting down this other woman behind her back? Just because you don't like her. I mean, the fact your mom is defending the woman that cheated with her husband has got to tell you something is up. Your fiancé opened the door to this nastiness, but your mom went too far. When I was 11, my mom and dad divorced. My mom had been having an affair with my now stepdad, and after the divorce, my mom and stepdad got married. They met at an office party my mom went to with my dad, but stepdad worked in the same building. My dad had a very good career at the time. When this came out, he basically became depressed for like 3 years. He got fired, etc. He's doing okay now. At the same time, my stepdad was getting promoted. Thanks, Karma. At the time, all I really understood was that my mom was sneaking around with the guy, and that made my dad really upset. So from 11 to about 13, I basically spent all my time with my mom and stepdad, making their life hell. I talked back to them, got into public tantrums just to embarrass them, etc. I think during this time, my mom probably cried half the days I was there because I was being so frustrating. When I got into high school, I changed. I stopped being mean to them, but I didn't have a real relationship with either of them. I'm talking to my mom a little bit more, but I hardly talk to my stepdad. Like 2 kids in a class who know each other by name, but that's it. My stepdad tries to talk to me though. Every time I'm at their house, he makes small talk, which I usually ignore. I can't forgive him after what he did to my dad, and me. College is coming up, and my dad has some money saved, but it won't be enough to cover everything, so I'll have to take some loans. However, like I said earlier, my stepdad got a lot of promotions and has said to me that he can pay for everything. I haven't really given him an answer on this yet. My dad said he wants to pay as much as he can, and my stepdad can pay the rest, because he cares more about me not having loans than his issue with my stepdad. Would I be the a-hole if I asked my stepdad to pay for everything? He's volunteering this himself. I didn't even think about asking him. You're the a-hole. If you don't want a relationship with him, make that clear. Don't use him and make him believe there's a chance of a real relationship when you never plan on having one with him. Your mom was the one who betrayed her relationship. Your stepfather was never committed to your father. So no point being mad at him forever, but making up with your mom when she was the one who screwed up. Either blame them both or forgive them both, but don't use them. You're the a-hole. Based on your previous comment, you don't want to have a relationship with him and are still angry with him about your parents' divorce. If you can't bring yourself to forgive and have a relationship with him, then don't take his money. Let your dad pay what he can and figure out how to pay the rest yourself. If you don't think he's good enough to have a relationship with after all these years, you'd be a hypocrite to take his money now. You're the a-hole. Mom is cheating on your dad. Blame her. You acted like you did because of the situation, and now want to ask stepdad for money. If you have such high moral convictions, you should not ask for 1 cent. I'm 22-year-old male, and girlfriend is 21. Her sister is 25, and the ex is 25 as well, I believe. Let's call the sister Jessica, and the ex Londo. Londo was a controlling partner and very jealous, and Jessica just has a toxic personality, but a good heart. I wanted them to break up because the longer they continue, the worse the pain would be for my future sister-in-law. I can agree that Londo didn't deserve Jessica, and Londo needs to reevaluate his life. Now the situation at hand. Londo and Jessica broke up, shocker, but Londo just ghosted Jessica, even though he begged her to stay with him about 2 months ago. Jessica is now heartbroken and is in shambles. This is her first real relationship, so I know how it feels, but she was warned many times before about her relationship, but she didn't want to listen, so I'm not surprised, but I do sympathize. My girlfriend wants me to stop seeing Londo because of the breakup, and since it's not a big deal to me, I don't think it's a big deal to change barbers. However, I don't think it's okay or mature to ask someone to stop getting your hair cut by an ex. I don't think it's okay for another relationship to affect on how my money is spent. I respect Jessica's feelings, and I know it would make her feel better, and I'm not getting a haircut anytime soon, so I'm going through with it. However, is it okay to make those kinds of requests? I could be the a-hole because this is my girlfriend's sister, and I should take her feelings into account. You're the a-hole. Why should you want to give your money to a controlling a-hole if you had other options? I think you are an a-hole for going against something your girlfriend feels strongly about when you have other options. This isn't the only barber in town. This is low stakes, and you are showing you don't care enough to try another barber. You're the a-hole. Jessica got ghosted by a guy who was an a-hole to her. That's gotta feel bad. And from this post, it seems like you and Jessica are close, like siblings as well. So I think it is completely reasonable to make that demand. From your perspective, it's just changing a barber and spending a little extra money every month. For her, her future brother-in-law, who is like a brother to her, is keeping in touch with the a-hole who ghosted her. Just put yourself in her shoes, bud. Go to a new barbershop. Can't be that hard.